Hi guys, Josh here, and one of my favorite game series is the Rune Factory series, and a lot of newcomers often ask what is the best Rune Factory game to start with, so I'm gonna attempt to answer this question in today's video. I have here the 3 Rune Factory games currently available on modern platforms, so there's Rune Factory 3 Special, Rune Factory 4 Special, and Rune Factory 5. All of these games are available on Nintendo Switch and Steam, and Rune Factory 4 Special is also available for PS4 and Xbox One. So I'll go over each of these games one by one, tell you what the main differences are between each one of them, and hopefully by the end of the video, you should have a pretty good idea of where to start your Rune Factory journey. But first, if you're brand new to the series, you may be wondering what even is Rune Factory. Well, it started off as a spin-off of the Harvest Moon series, which is currently known under the name Story of Seasons. And so basically, it's a farming sim with RPG elements. There's of course farming, but the games take place in a fantasy setting. So for example, instead of taking care of regular farm animals, you're gonna be taming a wild variety of monsters. There is also a bigger emphasis on the story. You're gonna be going through dungeons, there's combats, lots of crafting to make new weapons and equipment. You also have spells, and it's a pretty good mix of farming sim and action RPG. The main gameplay mechanics, such as the farming, the combat, and the crafting, feel pretty similar from one game to the next, and you will be encountering most of the same monsters and items, but there are still a few differences between all of these Rune Factory games, so that's what I will be focusing on in today's video. So let's start with Rune Factory 3 Special, which is a remaster of Rune Factory 3 that came out for the Nintendo DS. In this game, you play as a boy, so there's no way to choose your gender, and you have amnesia at the beginning of the game, which is actually the case for all of the Rune Factory games, so your character doesn't remember anything, and you end up in a little town, and your character is actually half human, half monster, so you can transform into a golden woolly, which is kind of like a cute sheep monster, and basically in this world, humans and monsters don't get along due to some conflict they had a long time ago, and because you have this unique ability to switch between your human form and your monster form, your goal will be to reunite the two people. The story is really fun, easy to follow along, it's pretty simple, all the characters are really interesting, and also it is the shortest Rune Factory game, so I actually just beat this one 2 days ago and it took me about 20 hours. Of course, even after finishing the main story, there is more content to enjoy, so there is an extra dungeon, you can work on crafting better equipment, you can still level up your character, try to win all of the festivals, so you can definitely play this game for a long time. But in terms of finishing the main story, this is definitely out of these 3 games the one that you'll finish the most quickly. There are a few things you may want to keep in mind if you're thinking about Rune Factory 3 Special. As I said earlier, you can only play as a boy, and also you do need to get married if you want to finish the main story, as the marriage and the story are closely tied to each other. And there is no same-sex marriage in this game, so if it is something that's important to you, you may want to consider this. Another thing to keep in mind is that even though Rune Factory 3 Special is the latest release, it is a remaster of an older game, and for this reason, it doesn't have as much content as Rune Factory 4 Special and Rune Factory 5, and it also doesn't have as many quality of life features. One little example of this is if you put an item into a shipping bin by accident, there is no way to take it back. And it is a feature that we take for granted in modern farming games. You can just open the shipping bin and easily transfer items between your backpack and the shipping bin. But that is not the case with Rune Factory 3 Special, so just remember it is an older game, but it is still pretty fun. It's just a little bit short, it doesn't have as much content and features. Next we have Rune Factory 4 Special, which is a remaster of Rune Factory 4 that came out for the Nintendo 3DS. As I said, this game is not only available for Steam and Switch, but also PS4 and Xbox One. So if you have one of these consoles, you may want to get this one. And it improves upon Rune Factory 3 in so many ways. First, you can choose your gender now, so you can play either as a boy or as a girl, so you have that option. And there is still no same-sex marriage, but at the end of the game, there is a way to switch your appearance to look like the other gender. So I guess that can kind of be a workaround. The story is also a lot longer. It's divided into 3 arcs, and it all starts when you end up in a town where you are being mistaken for royalty. So people think you're the prince or the princess, and you will actually end up taking on that role. You're gonna help the town with various things, and the story is divided into 3 arcs, so it's gonna bring you on a whole journey. There's gonna be a lot of conflict, a lot of stuff happening, and yeah, the story is just a lot more complex and involved than the one in Rune Factory 3. The story itself can take you maybe 40 to 50 hours, but there's just so much side content in this game, so much to do, and honestly, people spend hundreds of hours into this game, and there's a reason why Rune Factory 4 Special is a lot of people's favorite Rune Factory game. This is also probably the Rune Factory game with the most lines of dialogues, so even if you spend a lot of time playing this, it never feels like the villagers are always saying the same things. Honestly, besides the fact that you cannot transform into a cute woolly like in Rune Factory 3, Rune Factory 4 has a similar art style, similar gameplay mechanics. They honestly feel pretty much the same. The only difference is that Rune Factory 4 has so much more content, so many more things to do. You can spend hundreds of hours into this game, whereas Rune Factory 3 is a lot shorter. And sometimes it's nice to play a short game. You maybe don't want to commit 50 or 100 hours. That would be the biggest difference to me. And you may be wondering also, what is the difference between the special games and the original games that came out for DS and 3DS? Maybe you've played the original games and you're wondering if you should play the new ones. So in terms of gameplay and story, it's pretty much the same thing. They're not remakes, they're just remasters. So the graphics have been revamped. Now everything's in HD. They had to redo some of the models, so it obviously looks better. They also added a hell difficulty. So originally these games had easy, normal, and hard mode, but now there's a hell difficulty. So if you're looking for a challenge, that can be good. They also added the newlywed mode. These are extra little scenarios that you unlock after getting married. They last between 15 to 30 minutes, so they're pretty short, and they consist mostly of dialogues with your spouse. So you're gonna be talking. There's a little bit of gameplay, like walking around town, seeing different characters, but they're overall pretty short, and it's mostly just little events. So if you've played the original, don't expect anything too much different. Except you can have better graphics and a harder difficulty mode. This reminds me, one last thing I would like to mention about these two games is that sometimes in between the different dungeons, especially in Rune Factory 4, between the different arcs in the story, there can be some difficulty spikes, so sometimes you may have to grind a little bit, make sure you have better equipment before you can continue. And as I said, there are different difficulty levels, so if you play on easy or normal, it shouldn't be too hard. But don't be surprised if you have to grind a little bit. Last, we have Rune Factory 5. If you're curious, this is the Switch version, but this is a steelbook that came with the special edition. And Rune Factory 5 is the newest, actual new entry in the Rune Factory series. So this one is not a remaster, it's a brand new story with brand new characters. And I would say the biggest difference with this one is that it is in 3D. This means a few good things and a few bad things. Let's start with the good. I feel like the combat is definitely a lot more immersive. I love the animations. Also, the story is more engaging just because you have so many more cutscenes, so many more animations. And it's definitely nice to have a 3D Rune Factory game again, because it is not the first time that Rune Factory is in 3D. We had Rune Factory Frontier on the Wii, and Rune Factory Tides of Destiny on the Wii and PS3. But the bad thing with Rune Factory 5 is that the environments don't look as good as they did in those older games. They went for an open world, all of the areas are pretty large, and some of them do look good, but most of them have a severe lack of details and they're just not that interesting to look at. This game also has some performance issues with the Switch version. So if you get it on Steam, of course it will depend on your PC, but you won't have as many problems. But on Switch, during battles, sometimes the game will slow down or stutter a little bit. And for me, it was not too big of a deal, but if you're a little bit picky on performance, that's something you may want to consider. In terms of the story, this game starts as you try to protect a girl from some monsters in the forest, and then she brings you back to her town, where you will be joining Seed, a peacekeeping organization. You will be helping them to solve mysteries around town, and of course there's going to be more conflict going on, and the story will go from there. I would say that the length of the story is probably on par with the one in Rune Factory 4, but the main difference is that Rune Factory 5 is very easy, so you won't really get stuck, you won't really have to grind, you can easily breeze your way through the whole game, at least for most people. And that is even on hard mode. So this game does not have the hell difficulty that Rune Factory 3 and 4 have, and even in hard mode, you're not gonna get much of a challenge. For this reason, if you're looking for a more cozy or laid-back experience, Rune Factory 5 could be a good pick for you. And also, days are so much longer in this game. They're actually 48 minutes long, whereas in the other games, they're 24 minutes long. And for me personally, I find that to be a little bit too long. I like some time management in my farming sims. I like to run around and not being able to do everything every day. But if you, on the other hand, you like to really be able to take your time and do everything you want in a day, while in Rune Factory 5, you really don't have to worry about time. Things go very slowly. And the thing with that too is that sometimes it feels like there's a big gap between the different festivals and the different seasons. Like 1 year in Rune Factory 5 is gonna take you, well, double the time it would take in the other Rune Factory games. So yeah, just one thing to keep in mind is that the days are pretty long. The last thing I would like to say about Rune Factory 5 is that you can play either as a boy or as a girl, and there is same-sex marriage for the first time in the Rune Factory series. So these are the 3 Rune Factory games currently available on modern platforms. Before wrapping up this video, I'm just gonna summarize each one of them very quickly and tell you for what type of player they may be the most suitable for. So Rune Factory 3 Special may be a good fit for you if you don't mind only being able to play as a boy, and you're looking to get a taste of Rune Factory without too much of a time commitment. Rune Factory 4 Special, on the other hand, is the ultimate Rune Factory experience. If you're looking for one game to invest a lot of time into, then you may be interested in this one. And lastly, we have Rune Factory 5. If you're looking for something easier, a lot more laid back and slow paced, then you may want to pick this one, and also it has a same-sex marriage. I really hope this video was helpful. Let me know which Rune Factory game you'll be picking up. If you've played any of these games, let me know which one is your favorite. And if you're interested in the Story of Seasons series, I also have a very similar video comparing all of the Story of Seasons games available on the Nintendo Switch, so feel free to check that out. Leave a like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video.